Hi, Jimmy here, and this video is a Halloween video, super spooky, and that's why I'm sat here with a small pumpkin, and I'm very tired because I do spooky ghost related stuff as one of my other jobs, and it's Halloween, so I'm pretty knackered, hence just doing this video on my sofa in a jumper rather than wearing a suit or a shirt and tie like I normally do for my videos, but you can deal with it. And there's always like the usual raft of complaints from people in the UK around Halloween where, oh, it's this American thing, and finding and displaying various gauds and dressing up and demanding things with menaces is this new American trick-or-treating thing, and boomers always get really het up about it. But if you actually look at the history, Halloween obviously is a contraction of All Hallows Eve, which is the night before All Hallows Day, or All Saints Day, and All Saints Day as a concept goes back a very long time. We know that, for example, the Orthodox Church was celebrating All Saints Day back in the Byzantine period, so like well before, I think, was it Gregory III or Boniface VI, one of the popes, editing Jimmy will put him up there, decided that November the 1st was going to be the Roman Church's All Saints Day, and they dedicated the former Pantheon, I think it was Agrippa's Pantheon, in fact, in Rome, was rededicated to be a church for all the martyrs, so basically all the saints. So that's basically the Halloween church, the original, the OG Halloween church is in Rome. And ever since then, in certainly the Western European Catholic and then later Anglican tradition, All Saints Day is on November the 1st. So the eve of All Saints Day is October the 31st, and it's obviously a fairly important day because you're celebrating all of the saints combined into one feast day. So in the medieval period, it would have been a fairly important day to celebrate. People would get drunk. They're always just an excuse for a good piss up. But the complaint, the sort of complaint that comes along with it is, oh, well, you're doing it wrong and you're conflating things. And every now and then Satanism gets thrown into the mix and people are like, oh, it's Halloween is all based off American Satanists taking over the tradition. That's complete, total balderdash, absolute hogwash, total cachiruch. That's not a thing. But there is conflation happening, and the conflation is happening because what's happening is All Hallows Day or All Saints Day is being conflated with the non-Christian or pre-Christian or pagan, or whatever you want to call it, celebration, which in the Gaelic is called Samhain. And Samhain is effectively the first day of the season. It's kind of like the first day of winter, and the Welsh name for Halloween, which is Norse Calan Gaeaf, gives you a clue to that, because Calan Gaeaf means the first day of winter, Calan from the Latin calends, and Norse Calan Gaeaf is the night of the calends of winter. And in the sort of the Celtic tradition, the day starts the night before, if you see what I mean. You don't start the day at dawn, you start the day at nightfall the night before. So today is the 31st of October, but as far as the old Celtic calendar goes, the day started last night at nightfall. Just go with it. So, Calan Gaeaf, Samhain, whatever you want to call it, never Samhain, is a celebration of the start of the new season, and there are lots of traditions associated with it from various places, especially in Ireland, in early medieval and later medieval Ireland. You see, in particular, the Irish-speaking population carrying on traditions of things like bonfires. The Coil Certh was also done in Wales, so one of the Welsh traditions was you light a bonfire for Norse Calan Gaeaf to sort of huddle around. The idea of the bonfires is that you huddle around them and it protects you from the evil spirits that wander at this time of the year, because it's a transitional period between the light season and the dark season, or whatever. And none of this was written down, so we don't know if all of this is true, but some of it might be true, and you might be attacked by the RØDE GO II, the short black pig, or which doesn't have a tail. So if you see a black pig without a tail on Halloween as you're trick-or-treating, run away from it quite quickly. If you see the Lady Wen heb dim pen, the white lady without a head, also run away quite quickly, unless it's just your mum in a trick-or-treating costume, in which case, cool beans. Where were we? Oh yeah, conflation. So yeah, you get things like your bonfires, you're huddling around the bonfire for warmth, but also for spiritual security as time goes on and Christianity becomes the sort of lens through which all of these festivals are seen. It just becomes kind of a nice thing to do at this time of year. It's a cold time of year, it's a dark time of year. Maybe you go to church and then later on there's a bonfire because it's cold and because it's dark and because you've done the harvest and because winter is coming along and it's All Saints' Day tomorrow, and so we have a little bonfire and maybe we drink some cider or we mull some wine, or we do some of the fun traditions that our great-great-granddads and great-great-grandmas did, and we're not really sure why they did them, but we still do them. Things like mummery. And mummery is still very popular in Ireland, and the mumming tradition has things like straw boys or biddy boys, and in Wales the mumming tradition had gwrachod, which is witches, but they're not actual witches, as in people who do witchcraft. They would be gangs of men dressed either in women's clothes, traditionally feminine clothes, or masked up, or Mari Lwyd would come out, bless Mari, and you would demand gifts, often with menaces. So you would play pranks on people if they refused to give you gifts. You'd take the wheels off somebody's cart, and that kind of thing, unless they gave everybody who turned up at the door a pint, or some sweets, or a slice of bara brith, or what have you. And if that sounds eerily familiar, it's because that's literally trick-or-treating. That is exactly trick-or-treating, and a lot of the Irish and Welsh, and indeed Scots, who went over to North America in, I mean in the 17th, 18th centuries, not just in the 19th and 20th century, vast influxes that they had. These immigrants brought with them some of these traditions, including things like mummery and carving lanterns at this time of year, which is an Irish tradition. And obviously, traditionally, the Irish tradition wasn't to use pumpkins, it was to use turnips, because you have turnips, or potatoes, or beet. And when they went over to North America and discovered that pumpkins are actually much easier to carve than all of those other veg, they started to use pumpkins. So there's this, as I say, big complainy atmosphere around Halloween in the UK, and in Europe as well. In other countries they do it as well. People in France complain a lot about young people starting to do the American thing of trick-or-treating, when, as we've just seen, mummery, dressing up in costumes, going from door to door and demanding treats is a centuries-old European tradition, not just in Great Britain and Ireland, in the British Isles. It's in lots of other countries, in the Netherlands and Germany and Austria, in Switzerland and France and Spain and Italy. This was done all over the shop, and it does go all the way back through Roman Catholicism into the pre-Christian Roman pantheon, where there was a lot of dressing up for things like Lupercalia, and people would bake treats and leave them out for people who would come costumed to their house, and people got smashed on wine and that kind of stuff. So Halloween, or Samhain, or Norse Calan Gaeaf is what you want to make of it, because there are at least 3 separate traditions there, right? There's the Samhain tradition with the sort of Irish pre-Christian spirituality. There's All Saints' Eve, where tomorrow is All Saints' Day, which is a fairly important Christian festival date, and then there is Norse Calan Gaeaf, where it's the first day of winter tomorrow, officially, according to the Old Welsh, or the Old Brythonic calendar. So there's 3 separate traditions there, and in the world that we live in now, there's more syncretism than ever. There's more cultures combining and becoming this beautiful sort of goopy melange, this sort of toffee-like creation that I have made using my hands, using the power of mind, the power of theatre. Here it is, look, it's there, you can almost feel it, you can almost see it. And we ball it up and we throw it away. So you can basically do whatever the hell you want for Halloween, as long as you're having fun and you're not actively injuring anybody, and as long as the worst trick that you play on someone is, you know, like throwing some toilet paper at their house, or chucking a couple of eggs at a cleanable surface and you're not causing any damage, then you go ahead and trick or treat. All you're doing with trick or treating is continuing a tradition of mummery, a tradition of costumed, demanding treats with menaces that is a fine, ancient European tradition. It is a fine thing to find a gang of your mates, get sozzled, put on masks that are frankly terrifying, and go around people's houses demanding that they give you more beer and carbohydrates. That is simply what we do at this time of year, my friends. That is how it works. And I will personally be celebrating Halloween by sitting down and editing a YouTube video. But you've got to respect the hustle. So Halloween is a big melange, it's a big mix, and if somebody comes up to you and you live in the UK or you live in Ireland or you live in continental Europe and they say, hey, this is just an Americanized, bastardized version of a Christian tradition, you can say, well, no, actually, it's a really interesting syncretic development of a number of pan-European traditions combined with specifically northern and northwestern European traditions that date back centuries and millennia, and it's actually fascinating to see how they've all connected up. Now give me some Snickers bars or I'll throw eggs at your house. There's also a link to a potential new project that I'm getting involved with in the description, and if you see it and you read it and you think it's of interest, feel free to fill out the form and do the survey involved. If you're not interested, there's no pressure, it's totally fine. So yeah, diolch yn fawr iawn. Thank you very much for joining me for a brief Hallowizzle video, and I hope that you have a lovely Nos Calan Gaeaf. I hope that it goes nicely and smoothly and you get lots of full-sized sweets and full-sized chocolates in your bag. And yeah, shout out to my mate Leo over in New York. Hope you have a great Halloween, and I hope that you get to enjoy it to its fullest, and yeah, Noson Calan Gaeaf, Hapusy Bawb, pumpkin fell off my shoulder. Happy Halloween to everybody. Stay cool, remain spooky, and I will see you next time.